Hello and welcome to That TV Comedy Podcast. I'm Amanda Davis and my co-host is...
Jackie J. Sarah.
And for this episode, we are going to be looking at TV comedy Christmas special. A slightly different format to our usual one, but as it's that wonderful time of year, we thought we'd have a chat about Christmas specials, old and new, that we enjoy. Jack, Christmas specials.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I've had so much fun researching this. Now this has been a good subject. Could we just do a whole series on Christmas? Because yeah, I've fallen down some pretty deep rabbit holes with this.
You just really, I completely agree. And you find things you've completely forgotten about.
Yeah. So for the purposes of this recording, just say that obviously British, we're both Welsh, British. So a lot of the references will be to British. And over here we call them Christmas specials.
And the thing is, we haven't discussed this.
No, this is interesting, isn't it? We've got some mince pies at the ready. No, we won't, because I don't like podcasts where they eat food in there. I mean, come on. It's an audio. Why are we eating food?
Absolutely.
No, come on, because I know you listen to some of them.
But they are edited very well so that it doesn't become annoying.
So there'll be no mince pies. There will be no
drinking of mulled wine.
No drinking of mulled wine. Boo. Yeah, so there'll be no alcohol, no food.
But Christmas cheer nonetheless.
Yeah.
We hope.
We hope. Welcome to our Christmas special.
Let's think back to Christmas specials when we were growing up.
Oh,
Did you have particular favourites?
Man, I'm only 21, so there wasn't that many. You're not even going to acknowledge that, are you?
I'm just in shock that you would even suggest such a thing, to be perfectly honest.
Do I have favourites? Yeah, I've got loads of favourites.
Growing up for us, we looked forward every year and it was Fools and Horses, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was only Fools and Horses. And there was a point when I was researching this that I was going to get in touch with you and say, I think we need to do one just about Only Fools and Horses Christmas, but I think we can get it in here. I think Only Fools and Horses was the one that was looked forward to. It was one that went over 3 generations, wasn't it? At least. I'm not sure Gen Z would be interested in Only Fools and Horses, but everyone alive and above them, I think it's got a special place in their hearts. Even if that place is, I hate that program my mum and dad used to watch, but it's there. It's part of our culture.
Absolutely.
And I'll talk more about that in a bit, because when I was researching this, I found it fascinating how different Christmas specials are in this country compared to others. Now, I've saved it to the preface that I only really know about American programs. They don't do Christmas specials like we do. They do Christmas episodes, but they're the same amount of time as a normal episode. And I suppose in the old days, when they were doing 22 episodes a year, the Christmas episode used to sit in the beginning of December and it was just another episode. And the other side is some of our Christmas specials, and I've watched a lot, both American and British Christmas specials, ours are not necessarily set at Christmas. They'll be on an hour and a half and there's no Christmas talked about, but it is a Christmas special because it's extended. And I found it so fascinating. I thought there's a book in here somewhere or a large paper. So if a university wants for me to do a doctorate in comedy and write this about Christmas specials, I'm happy for them to do that. I'll put the work in. If a publisher wants me to write a book about this, I'm available. I'd be happy to do that as well. I think I need to go into examples, and I think you need to go into examples too, because I'm just talking around the subject again and we need to get stuck in. If we don't want an hour and a half podcast, which nobody wants.
And a lot of the episodes that you talk about, they're extended, they're special episodes, they would have been written in January.
Yeah, and a lot of them end in a series.
Yes.
So they will end a series that everyone loves on Christmas Day, Boxing Day. They don't care about us, do they? The broadcast companies that break our hearts on Christmas Day. So should we go back to Only Fools and Horses?
We'd like to.
You started it. What did you find about Only Fools and Horses?
I was not surprised. There were so many of them.
Do you know how many of them there were?
8
18.
Christmas specials.
18 Christmas
Oh,
specials.
because they did trilogies.
Yes. So they were on the same year, but there were 18 episodes. So should we just run through them quickly?
Go for it.
Number 1, 1981, called Christmas Crackers, which was, I think it was the first series of Fools and Horses. Ran for 31 minutes instead of the requisite 28. Now, do you remember what that episode was about?
What year was it? 81?
1981.
Oh, it's
And
far too young now.
yes, but it's not like it hasn't been on a loop
On repeat,
for the
repeat,
last
repeat.
30 years, is it?
I'm going to say no, but probably when you say what it was about, I'll say, oh, yes.
I don't think you would, because when I watched it, I had no memory of it.
Oh.
The early Fools and Horses are really weird. They're not as you would expect. They've had a miserable Christmas, Rodney, Del Boy and Grandad. And Grandad's got a lady on the side, so he decides to go there. So Rodney and Del go to a club. That is the Christmas episode. It's set at Christmas. Not an awful lot happens in there. Number 2, 1982, Diamonds Are for Heather. No memory of that?
It's not the one where they pretend they were ill.
Bear in mind, I've watched all these. I've watched every single one of them. So Diamonds Are for Heather is another one, which is so weird. It's the three of them, Del Boy, Rodney and Grandad. And Rodney and Grandad are barely in it. Del Boy falls for this woman who's got a little son. And 6 weeks later, he wants to propose to her. And she decides to go back to her ex-husband. And that's the whole story. So that was another happy-go-lucky one. We really need to talk about how dark Christmas episodes are over here. 1983, Thicker Than Water. I believe Grandad's already left us at this stage. Thicker Than Water, Del's dad comes back, and as we know very much later on that Del Boy and Rodney haven't got the same dad. But he comes back, pretends he's not very well. He's had blood tests, and apparently Del Boy's not his son. So Del Boy is ostracised. Uncle Albert and Rodney take him in, the father, because he's not well. And of course, he's just doctored the notes because he's not a very nice man, Del's dad. Then to Hull and Back. This is our first proper Christmas special, 1985. It ran for 1 hour, 35 minutes. And you remember this one, don't you? And where are they going? I want to say Amsterdam. There's diamonds there. And Boise has set him off to buy these diamonds. And do you know who stars in it as well? Is Jim Broadbent. The man originally they wanted for Del Boy. And he plays that crooked cop who's out to get them all. Next one. The universally hated 1986 special, A Royal Flush, which ran for 1 hour, 15 minutes. Del Boy is horrible in this. So Rodney meets this nice girl who happens to come from a rich family, and Del Boy gets involved and tries to get money out of the girl's father to keep Rodney away from her. This is a brilliant one if you want to look into comedy history, because the writer of Only Fools and Horses, one man wrote them all, which is amazing.
Incredible.
John Sullivan, he was working on something else at the time. And in those days, I would imagine those days, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to record right up to the wire. So if they're recording Fools and Horses, Monday, they would be getting it to editing suite to go out on the next Sunday. So this Royal Flush, Del Boy is so rude in there that John Sullivan watched it at Christmas Day, whatever it was, with the rest of us, and he demanded there's a cut in there because he didn't want Del Boy to be so mean. Even now when you watch it, he comes across as rude, abrasive, and actually just money grabbing. Whereas we know in the character that he does actually put Rodney first. He wants money, he wants wheeling and dealing, but he does always put Rodney first. So yeah, look into the history of that one. That's really interesting because it was just hated. People hated it. 1987 was The Frog's Legacy, and that was only on for 1 hour, which we find out about. Do you remember who the frog was?
The father, wasn't he?
It is Rodney's father, but we don't know that at the time. Yeah, Freddie the Frog, who was played by Nicholas Lyndhurst in the later series, Rock and Chips, is playing Freddie the Frog. They believe he's hidden treasure, so Del, Albert and Rodney work to find the treasure. That's basically it. It's an hour's treasure hunt, and it wasn't very fruitful. Next one, 1988, Dates. 1 hour and 20 minutes. What happened in Dates, man?
Is this the one where he's going to meet Raquel.
It is Raquel.
End of the clock.
Yes, it
In
is.
the
Well remembered.
station.
See, these are all coming back now, aren't they? You'll know all of them now. Now, this is another interesting one. He's going to this dating agency, Cupid something, and the person's asking him what he would look for in a partner. And now, bear in mind, David Jason's in his mid-40s by here. And that doesn't mean Del Boy is that age, but the man at the dating agency says, oh, I found you someone perfect, but she's 37, and Del's like, no. So Raquel, how old was Raquel, man? She was only 30.
Oh my goodness.
I know we thought she was really old when we watched it, but she's only 30.
Wow.
So that one's famous for Del Boy getting arrested and not being able to meet Raquel. But it's also another one famous for Rodney on a car chase. Now, the girl's name is escaping me. So this is one Mickey Pierce and Jevron, who is friends with Rodney, persuade he really likes this girl. Donna? Is it Donna? It's too near. It's like alliteration.
Not Nervous Neris.
It's Nervous Neris, man. It's Neris. I don't know where I got Donna from. Anyway, Nervous Neris. He takes her out, and then these blokes start following him in the car, and he takes her on the three-wheel van, and he's doing stunts to impress, and obviously she's terrified.
In the Robin Reliant.
In the Robin Reliant, the three-wheeler van. You definitely know the next one. 1989, run for 1 hour 20 minutes. What is it, man? It's the Jolly Boys Antics. And the Margate.
That's a brilliant episode.
That is so good.
Probably the best of the Christmas specials.
I disagree, but I understand why you would think that. They all go to Margate and the bus blows up.
And why does the bus blow up?
Del's got one of these dodgy radios.
Radio. Yes, that is sold to the coach.
Yeah. And there's a train strike on, so they end up staying at Margate. And Del and Rodney go out. And who should be on stage? The lovely Raquel.
And they stay in a lovely B&B. The only B&B with room.
Yeah, and the door's locked at 11 and they couldn't get back in. So they go to Raquel's and they get back together. The next one, not as famous. 1990, Rodney Comes Home, which is on 1 hour and 13 minutes. Do you remember what that one's about? It's got one of my favourite bits of all, Fools and Horses in, even if they...
Is it when he comes and he tells... Is Rodney married at this point?
He is, Rodney is married at this point.
He goes, and then they have all this chat, and then he says, you don't live here anymore.
No, that's not it.
Not that one?
No, that's the one where he gets married, he comes home from work, and he forgets he's living there. Yeah, this is not where he gets married. So Rodney and Cassandra. Marriage is in trouble, and Rodney has to move back into the Trotter household.
He thinks she's having an affair with her boss.
And
with the rat's tail.
Yeah, the yuppies. Remember, he asked another girl to the cinema on a date, and this is the one where it's said to Uncle Albert, when he tells you about this, you've got to look really shocked.
Oh, this was brilliant. It is so funny.
It isn't. It's just yeah. Because he goes, I'm going out, and Uncle Albert goes, no. And then Del goes, no. And he does that, and right until a bit when Rodney says, I'm going out with someone else, and he's just sat there like, so what? Yeah. So yeah, not one of the more popular ones, but next year's was to me this was the pinnacle. 1991, Miami Twice, 1 hour 15 minutes. Nothing to do with Christmas.
Mafia. He's mistaken for a mafia boss.
Yeah. So Del and Rodney. Del, again, there was an hour or so episode the night before. So on the 24th, Christmas Eve, there was an hour special telling the story of Del selling already blessed wine to the church. Because it takes so long to bless wine. So why don't he do it all at once in a big lorry full of wine? Rodney gets money from the pension because he's left his old job and he's got the pension money. Del persuades him to go on holiday to Miami, and Del manipulates it so it's a week that Cassandra can't go. So he goes with him. And the reason that he wants to get out of the country is he's got a load of Romanian wine for the church, but it's all white.
Which is no good for communion.
No good for communion. They go to Miami in America. They meet the mafia, and the mafia bloke looks exactly like Del Boy, and he's in trouble. So the sons of him thought it would be a good idea to swap him out, kill him. It makes it look like the mafia guy's dead, police are no longer after him. But that was really interesting, that one, because it was a movie. So even on the opening credits, it never mentions Only Fools and Horses. I think that one's my favourite because it is so different.
It's extremely different. And when I
Yeah.
was talking about this with my husband the other day, I asked about his favourite Christmas sitcom comedy special, and that was his.
Yeah. And I remember at the time, I didn't want to watch it because they kept saying they're going to kill off Del Boy, all the papers. And I was like, I don't want to watch something on Christmas Day where they kill off Del Boy.
No.
But I have a memory of it being on in the house and with all our family there. I really like Miami Twice.
Happy days.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about nostalgia again.
It is nostalgia, isn't it? Christmas specials are all about nostalgia.
1992, Mother's Nature's Son, 1 hour and 9 minutes. That is about Peckham Springs.
Oh, no, that isn't a brilliant episode. Peckham Springs.
Peckham Springs. So he's selling water, tap water, to the country.
He's got the hose
under the name
all set up.
Under the name Peckham Springs. Next, 93. Yeah, famous.
It's about a dentist.
Del Boy has a row with
Raquel.
She goes to stay in Rodney and Cassandra's flat. That means Del's single again now, so he's tries up the nurse and the dentist.
Of course.
They flirt a bit. He asks her out. She says yes. And then he realises he made a massive mistake.
Because she's not Raquel.
She's not Raquel. He leaves a message on her answer machine. And then he starts to think she's stalking him. And then she tells him not to be so stupid. She's got better things to do. But she turns up at the flat, buying the high chair. And she gives Raquel the answer phone in exchange for the high chair, which has got Del Boy's message on there. So, you know, she is a woman scorned, and she has been doing all those things. But that one's famous for one voice singing in the darkness.
That's a great moment.
And then we had a little break, 1996.
Trilogy.
The trilogy.
The end.
Heroes and Villains. It wasn't the end.
The trilogy was supposed to be the end of the series.
Okay. Heroes and Villains. That run for 1 hour, and that one, it's got 9.3 IMDb rating. It's famous for two things. Can you remember what those two things are?
That particular episode?
Yeah, just that particular episode.
I got 2 words. No,
Go on.
3 words.
Go on in.
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. They dressed as Batman and Robin running through the streets because the van's broken down. Do you know it's filmed in Bristol? Only Fools and Horses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They had to do media shut down everything. Just so nobody leaked them dressed as Batman and Robin running through the streets. And of course, they saved
the
councillor from being mugged. And
councillor who was ignoring him because he wanted a grant for a new kitchen.
Yeah. But there's the other very famous bit
where they turn up in their costume and it turns out there's an actual wake, not a fancy dress.
That is one of the famous things. The other is the old philosophical argument, the ship of Theseus, but made for a new generation, and it will be always known as Trigger's broom. The argument is the same object, if it's been replaced, different parts of it has been replaced. So remember Trigger's broom?
Yes.
And I can't remember if it was
said how long he'd had it for.
Yeah, something like he's had 4 handles and 16 heads, and they said to him, how is it the same broom? And he went, yeah, it's in a picture. Yeah, so if somebody says to you Trigger's broom now, in popular culture, everyone knows what it means.
Of course.
The next episode, 1996, was Modern Man. That ran for 1 hour. We learn more about Raquel's family. They're middle class. So we find out that Raquel's father is an antiques dealer,
which is going to come in handy.
So the very last one in the trilogy was called Time on Our Hands.
And was supposed to be the very last episode.
Run for 1 hour, 9.6 on IMDb. Yeah, so
just over 24 million people watched that.
Yeah. The Harrison lesser known watch, which is a real watch, which has never been found.
Absolutely. Biggest audience ever recorded for a single transmission of a TV sitcom in the UK. To put that in perspective, 26.2 million people watched the state funeral of Queen Elizabeth II.
They're in a garage, and Raquel's father sees the watch And he said, "Where did you get this from?" And Dullboy remembers. He said, "If I think this is what I think it is, then it's worth a few 100,000. But as we know, it wasn't strictly true. It wasn't worth 100,000. But I think what I wanted to go back to on this is Del's catchphrase is, "This time next year we'll be millionaires." They were always millionaires. That watch was sitting in their garage the whole
The
time,
whole time.
the whole series. And the only reason we really know that is on the very first episode, Rodney started keeping records
Yeah.
of
Of their
what,
inventory.
and Delboy said, "No, don't do that." Obviously, because they don't want the tax man finding out about it. But Rodney had just started in the business and he wanted to keep records. And for the fact that he did that, it went to auction and it got a cool £6 million. So Rodney and Delboy did become millionaires.
Walked off into
They walked off into the sunset, didn't they?
sunset.
But the one thing I wanted to say about this was watching it again now, it's almost set up that Delboy's going to lose that money because he starts talking about we can buy future options. You've got to speculate to accumulate. This time next year, we'll be billionaires. So it was already set up they were going to lose that money, which they did in 2001. If they could see us now, they invested in some Brazilian scheme and they lost all of it and ended up back in the flat.
The Nelson Mandela House.
2002, Strangers on the Shore went for 1 hour 15 minutes. That was the Gary one. So they end up going to France and Delboy gets a load of beer from France so they can sell cheap in the pub. And the last one, 2003, Sleepless in Peckham. They're about to lose everything. They're about to lose the flat. It was going to foreclosure. They owed the tax man £53,000. Poor Uncle Albert has died a while ago. And we find out Uncle Albert kept his money that they gave him. And so they both have £130,000 each. And they're okay. Uncle
Just
Albert
go
looked
away.
after him in the end, which was a lovely ending. Now, those 3 specials, so maligned. I watched them again and I was like, this is better than the most of the stuff I'm watching. It's because it wasn't as good as the older Only Fools and Horses, but it was still great.
People's expectations were then very, very high.
So what did you watch or what did you find out?
Gosh, I watched lots of things. I was watching the Vicar of Dibley
Right.
specials.
I watched one of the Vicar of Dibley, the Christmas lunch incident.
The Christmas lunch. But she's so kind. They all think that she's on her own. They invite her
Yeah.
for lunch. And she ends up having to eat lots of Christmas lunches.
Which is perfect to show on Christmas night. And then they're presenting her with 16 veg
I
deals.
just like watching it. I really do.
Brussels sprout competition.
Which she
did win the Brussels sprout competition. So
it's not one to watch when you're full.
I deliberately watched it as I was eating. Because to give the full...
Get the full effect.
Get the full effect, yeah.
Yeah.
You love Vicar and Dibley, don't you?
I do. And there's the engagement where Hugo and Alice finally get together and end up having a 4.5-hour kissing session. It's just so good. And it's just so simple.
They put that finale on Christmas, didn't they? It was a Christmas special. I really wish Richard Curtis made less films and more Vicar of Dibley.
He was a little bit busy and then getting the actors together. And what a group of actors again.
Exactly.
So many of them not with us anymore, as we discussed in the episode that I chose. I also caught up with A Very Sunny Christmas.
I watched that as well.
Which has got some funny moments, but my goodness, it's dark as you just felt.
It's really dark, isn't it?
I mean, when Charlie loses it in the shopping mall and
oh my gosh,
bites Santa. Oh, that's awful.
He shouldn't have got away with that. He should have been in prison for Christmas.
They bring his old colleague, Eugene, his business partner, to try and make him change his ways.
Yeah.
And he goes back to his old way. He hides in the gap. It's the bit where he's hiding in the couch.
Oh, yes.
And then he climbs out and he's naked. And you find out that Frank has always bought whatever the twins wanted for Christmas for himself and flaunts it to them. I mean, it's such a good episode because they made it to show why they were
the way they were
are as they are.
But there was a feel-good ending to it as well because it was Christmas.
They were singing carols. They were full of Christmas, and then they united. They united, and that was
Exactly right.
instead of the infighting. So
Yeah.
it's a really good Christmas. They called it Christmas film.
It's a long episode they've done. It's set at Christmas.
Yeah, but it's about 14 minutes.
Yeah, 14 minutes longer, so that would have run about an hour in America.
And then I was also watching, seen it lots of times, The Friends, The Holiday Armadillo.
Right, yeah.
That's a small part of the episode anyway, but that's
Yeah.
really funny. And then the other program that I really watch, and I love this Christmas special, is Gavin and Stacey,
Yeah.
2008.
The
That
2008 one. I
it's
watched
the-
both of them.
It's the best Christmas special that they did,
Well, they
in
only
my
did
opinion.
2, didn't they?
We got the 2019 one,
Yeah. And there's going to be another one
and there's
this
going to be
year.
another one. But the 2008,
Yeah.
it's perfect. It's got
Yeah,
everything
it does
you
sum
want.
up Christmas, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Family Christmas.
I mean, it's just got but it's also moving the story on. It's the beginning of the series. Some great moments in it.
No, it has.
Elsa being Santa.
Oh.
Merry Christmas. So I really enjoyed watching that as well. And then I just watched little clips really of Christmas things like the Royal Family.
Yeah, I didn't watch any Royal Family. I didn't get there. But yeah, but they were so good, weren't they?
Yeah. And I also watched a bit of The Good Life.
I have to watch that every year anyway, so I thought I'll just put that in. It's silly but fun.
It's a little bit fun. The penultimate episode of the whole series.
Was it? I thought,
Yeah, it's the penultimate episode of The Good Life.
so they just had that one special, which was the royal one.
And for our listeners that are not in the UK, The Good Life was a sitcom from the 1970s.
It's got one of the best characters ever from British sitcom, Margot Ledbetter.
The Good Life, it revolves around 4 characters. Good refers to the surname of Tom and Barbara Good, who have basically decided to give up the rat race and become self-sufficient.
Way ahead of its time.
Very much ahead of its time. And then their snobby neighbour, Margot, and her husband, Jerry, who's a little bit more laid back. Christmas is ruined because Margot has refused a delivery from Harrods of things because the Christmas tree is not the right height. And then there's a mix-up and they can't get a delivery, so they've got nothing for Christmas. And Tom and Barbara take pity on them, and 4 of them have a lovely, basic Christmas.
Yeah, they do. And Margot especially, she's told to have fun. And she's going, but I don't know how. And I was like, oh. And she refused to have the Christmas hat made out to the Mirror newspaper.
That's right. She had that in the Telegraph.
And then they had out to the homemade crackers. And one of the jokes in the homemade crackers was, the ooh-ah bird is so called because it lays square eggs. And they start laughing. That's the only joke I think I ever remember. Because I'm rubbish at remembering jokes. And she doesn't get it. But they buy a cow at the end, don't they? Do they name the cow Dancer or No. What do they call it? Did they name the cow?
Oh, I don't recall. It was a lovely moment because it was acceptance.
Okay, extras. Final episode of Extras. Do you remember that? It was the final episode. It was a Christmas episode. The first 5 minutes were set at Christmas. The rest was set every other time of year. Andy has decided to end his sitcom because he wants to be a serious actor. But then he realises he wants to be famous, and then he realises he doesn't want either. That was good. Not Going Out. They've had a few Christmas episodes, but my favourite is Ding Dong Merrily on Live. It went out in 2018 and it was a live episode. You obviously got no memory of this.
No, because I've never watched it.
It's very tongue-in-cheek. It's very breaking the fourth wall. It was a really lovely episode. The only thing that's different is they have these indents where the house is over London, or they show bits of London. Of course, they last a bit longer while it's going to the next setup.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the live episode, they need it, yeah.
Yeah, and there was quite a few sets, which was quite brave as well. So Lee Mack, who's also a comedian, he does do a few things straight to camera on it, it's just a bit of fun. Ghosts. We've never talked about Ghosts, only because I'm not that keen on it. I know it's clever. I know it's funny.
I've seen bits of it and it's funny, but I've never actually
I
watched
struggle.
the whole...
I think I don't like the young couple in there. And I like the actors. They're really good actors.
Yeah, I don't like
But I
it.
struggle with those characters to be amongst all those ghosts.
Yeah.
So I watched two. One that I was recommended, which is they've got a tick list of all the things they want to happen in the house at Christmas, and she only wants one thing. The main character, whose name just escapes me, which is to sing carols. And so when she's on her own, it's all his family. She hasn't got family, so when she's on her own, she plays the piano and starts singing to herself, and all the ghosts come around and sing with her. So she gets her Christmas wish, which was nice. And then the
Yeah.
very last episode of Ghosts was Christmas one.
Was it?
It was a
So,
Christmas one. So they finished Ghosts on a Christmas one.
another one's Alison.
It's Alison.
it?
Alison, she's just had a baby and she feels she has to stand on her because she's getting so much help from the ghost. She's getting help from her partner's mother as well. And she's just, I've got to do this on my own.
They moved, don't they?
They move, yeah.
Yeah.
But she goes back and sees them. Blackadder
Lasso.
Christmas. Yeah, I did watch Ted Lasso.
Carol of the Bells from August, but yes, Christmas.
It's a Christmas episode, man.
It's a Christmas episode, even though
Yeah.
it's shown in August.
That's a nice episode, though, isn't it?
It's a nice
2021.
episode.
Blackadder Christmas Carol, 1988. Edward Blackadder is lovely, caring, and a ghost comes along and shows him his past life and his future life, and he realizes being bad is the way forward. So
It's a
yeah, they go
great
back.
twist.
They go back to the Regent's Court, and they go back to Elizabeth I's court, which is fun. Porridge, The Desperate Hours, 1976 episode. I won't say too much, but that's one's known because they had a problem with filming. There was a big break in filming. So Ronnie Barco's the star of Porridge. He actually went and kept the audience happy. So it's known for that fact that he's
a great comedian.
So
So good.
clever.
Great actor.
He used to write under a different name so people didn't know it was him. Yeah. So I think the audience were a bit upset they had to carry on because they had this fantastic performance.
Said with a show.
Yeah, they had a great BoJack Horseman's Christmas special. Sabrina's Christmas Wish List 2014. BoJack Horseman.
BoJack Horseman.
Don't act like you don't know. Oh no, you actually don't know, to you. BoJack Horseman. He's a washed up star from the 90s. He's a cartoon horse as well. And his sitcom was about a horse taking over 3 orphans. So they actually watched the Christmas specials in the episode. And they hit all the stereotypes of Christmas episodes. It's really good.
Oh, I might watch that then, if I can find it.
BoJack Horseman's on Netflix in the UK. And oh my gosh, it's bleak. It's funny, but it's bleak. And I can understand them not wanting... This is why it's a horse in a cartoon. Because you couldn't do that as a person, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's such a good program. There's a problem with casting, but we won't talk about that. I watched Miranda, The Perfect Christmas. And was it perfect? It was all right. It was fun. Such fun.
Such fun.
Such fun. Parks and Recs. Mix it up a bit. Non-British. Parks and Recs. I watched the episode called Scandal, which was from 2009. I didn't really remember it. How much I like the program, but I don't think they're nice people. They keep acting like they're nice people, but they look down their nose at everyone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So in that one, it was a councilman. It's about to get involved in a scandal. So he sees Leslie to try and to get information out of her. And because she's seen with him, she becomes the scandal. And it talks about the news cycle of that. Yeah, it was good. So the other thing I watched was Outnumbered, 2 of them. That was interesting. One, Outnumbered is a program that used to be ad-libbed by the children. So what they used to tell the children what it's about, but they used to do their stuff, and then they used to shoot.
Improvised it, yeah.
They improvised it, and then they used to shoot the adult stuff at a different time because obviously they're so young. So there was Karen and Ben. Karen was a bit of a know-it-all, and Ben was just a homewrecker, and he'd ask all these questions.
Ben was the youngest, wasn't he?
No, Ben was older than Karen. That one's getting a new Christmas special this year.
Yes, I saw that. I thought, that would be worth watching.
It's only 8 years since the last one. So it Outnumbered, The Robbers, 2009, which was interesting. It was all about the granddad being in a home and the mother of the family feeling guilty about it. But back at the house, the father was looking after the kids, and Ben was upset because his toy was hidden behind the radiator and they had to get it out, and Karen had lost a hamster. But then the next special was in 2016 and they'd all grown up.
Yes, no, suddenly look very different.
They're very different. And Ben is a philosophy student now. So he was like the home instructor, but now he was running
Grown up now.
he was running circles around them. And because it's Christmas and it's British, it was dark. They were trying to spray the ashes of the father. So the one episode in 2009 was the mother feeling guilty about putting her father in a home. And obviously he's died. And the actor who played him died in the meantime as well. So they're trying to spread the ashes on Boxing Day, as per his wishes. So yeah, of course, that's British, isn't it? It's got to be a bit dark.
It's got to be dark, yeah. There's got to be sadness alongside the comedic moment.
The newest ones I watched, and you've watched them quite recently as well, you just haven't mentioned them, is of course New Frasier,
Yes.
which are proper Christmas episodes we liked when we were younger from American sitcoms.
I loved in the most recent one with David with his immaculate little gingerbread
Yeah,
houses and scene.
and
And
David is the son of Niles and
Daphne.
Daphne, but of course Niles and Daphne's not in it. So
Mm.
he's a mixture of the two. So he's very uppity, but he's also a bit of an airhead.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think they've got a really good balance for him.
the reason why they had to chuck it all in a bin because poor Alan, who was played by Nicholas Lyndhurst, who played Rodney. I don't think we mentioned the actors on Fools and Horses as we come full circle. Nicholas Lyndhurst, Alan, his daughter's not speaking to him, and he's found out she's in town, and Frasier gets involved, tries to get to speak to her, and of
Well,
course
they all get involved.
they all get
in this
involved
little
in the
scheme
end.
to
Little
get-
scheme, typical Frasier going overboard. And there was this line that Amanda hated. In England, we say Happy Christmas, not Merry Christmas.
Well, we do not. I
You're
don't
not
know in
English.
Wales. Well, I know.
You're
but
not English, man.
I
but-
do know English people. They
I-
might say Happy Holiday, but they certainly say Merry Christmas more. Merry Christmas. And the actor saying that is British.
The guy who plays Freddie is from London, isn't he?
So he knew full well saying that. But I'm sure
Wasn't
Nicholas
true.
Lyndhurst had those moments as well with some of the things he was saying as
Yeah.
Alan. But I suppose you are an actor and you
And
are
you do.
paid to say the line.
That's my Christmas specials. We're going to go on to a quiz in a moment, but I've got a question to ask you. Which actor has appeared in the most Christmas specials? And Christmas specials as in narrative comedy.
Is it going to be Nicholas Lyndhurst?
Is it
Yes.
not David Jason?
No, because Nicholas Lyndhurst has been in the Fraser one as well.
Remember David Jason was in Open All Hours and still Open All Hours.
Oh, yes, he was. I forgot about that.
But
They
are you?
tied.
No, they're not tied. One is a winner. There is
David Jason then.
3 in it. Three Christmas specials in it. Is it David Jason or Nicholas Lyndhurst?
From what you've just said, David Jason.
No, it's Nicholas Lyndhurst. How could you get that wrong?
I was right this time. How very dare you? I was right the first time, and then you tried to throw me off.
No, I was. Makes it more interesting. To make a multiple choice. Nicholas Lyndhurst is the king of Christmas.
Good night, sweetheart.
27 Christmas specials. No, you're forgetting the very first one. And I'm not saying you watched this episode.
Oh,
Is it-
butterflies.
Butterflies, he was in 1979. I won't go through the Fools and Horses again. I'm just trying to pick up the ones that wasn't only Fools and Horses. The Two of Us, the ITV sitcom. Good Night, Sweetheart, 1993 and 1996. After You've Gone, can look that up. And then in 2012, Rock and Chips. He's Freddie the Frog.
He was Freddie the Frog.
And then obviously 2023 and 24, Frasier. So he's been in Christmas sitcoms since the 1970s.
And now it's time for everybody's favourite part of the show.
Nope, just yours.
It's the quiz. Question 1.
Go on.
How many Christmas dinners did Vicar Geraldine Granger end up eating in the Christmas lunch incident?
4. And I think that's one of your questions as well. Yeah, that was one of your questions. Question 1. What was the most watched non-sporting TV special of the noughties? Out of all of them now. Which one? From 2000, 2020.
Gavin and Stacey?
It was the 2019 Gavin and
19, yeah.
Stacey.
And the one this year will top that, I'm sure.
Yes. Okay.
Question 2. In the Ab Fab Christmas special Cold Turkey,
Oh, I wish I'd watched it now.
what is Adina's main goal for the holiday season?
It could be something like losing weight or drinking champagne or getting Lulu a guest spot somewhere. Go on, I can't remember.
It's the Perfect Family Christmas.
No, that's not Adina. Who learns that his son won't be with him for the first Christmas in Seattle in the program Miracle on 3rd or 4th Street?
Frasier Crane.
Frasier Crane. We didn't talk about our vixen, Roz, who came back into
Oh, she got
Frasier on
back
a
in
Christmas
Frasier,
episode as
she
well.
did.
That's a big moment, isn't it?
Why is the ooh-ah bird so cool?
Because it lays square eggs.
It sure does.
What was notable about the Christmas episodes of the 1990 sitcom? Here we go, going back a bit. 2.4 children. I'll give you time to think about it, because go back a bit, because 2.4 children was supposed to be the British answer to Roseanne.
It was very, very different.
Yeah, but it was about a working class family, supposed to be. Although, can't remember the name of the actor, Belinda something. She wasn't very working class, but the father was a bit like Dan. I don't understand why 2.4 children is not up there. When we talk about British sitcoms, great such as British sitcoms, I don't understand why 2.4 children gets forgotten.
Oh,
Do you want the answer? Well, they were musicals. The cast used to sing.
yes.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah. And you into your musicals.
I
You
love
should
my
remember them.
musicals. I should have.
Go on.
What does Leslie Knope receive as a Christmas gift from all her friends in season 4's Citizen Knope Christmas episode?
I think I've watched all the wrong Christmas episodes, haven't I?
She gets the perfect gifts for all her friends all the
She
time.
does, and they're
decide.
really frustrated by it, aren't they? They're really annoyed by it. It's a waffle iron, isn't it? From the is it the waffle thing from the diner that she loves?
No,
It's not the
this
waffle
one.
maker. Oh, okay.
It's a miniaturized city hall made of gingerbread.
Ah, which Christmas special had the word Algarve in its title?
Ah, we haven't mentioned One Foot in the Grave.
We haven't mentioned One Foot in the Grave.
Oh, that was good as well.
But that gets recognised as one of the great British sitcoms, doesn't it? Go on.
Who is asked, "What are you doing here, weird turtle man?"
Why are you doing here, wee turtle man? Oh my gosh, I've heard that
Imagine me
recently.
What are you doing here, weird turtle?
It's from Friends, isn't it?
It's
It's the holiday armadillo, so I think it's Chandler who says it, or Joey.
Well, no, I said who was asked.
Oh, who was asked? It's Ross is asked, as he's dressed as the holiday armadillo.
That's why Chandler says, as he comes in as Santa, "What are you doing here, weird turtle man?" And your bonus one, who was born during the Royal Family Christmas special, Christmas with the Royal Family in 1999?
The baby's born, isn't it? I can't remember the baby's name. Is it David?
Yeah.
It is David, right, okay.
But he's baby David Keanu Roland Best.
Okay, and your last question is, and you should know this, who's guest starred in the 1999 Vicar of Dibley special?
Oh, was this the one with Peter Capaldi?
No.
Who turns up at
Christmas? No, I give you a clue, because I'm nice. Peter Capaldi's playing a part in there. So he does turn up in a Christmas special, but he's playing Tristan, I think the name is.
Yeah, because he's
the producer of the Songs of Praise.
Yeah.
No, this is somebody playing themselves.
Is this when Kylie?
No, it's not 1990.
Christmas Fair, isn't it?
Yeah. Summer Fair.
Summer Fair, sorry. Yeah. I'm going to kick myself.
You are going to kick yourself. Do you want to do?
Darcy Bustle.
No, it's not Darcy Bustle.
Oh, I've forgotten.
Comes in like a comet from the sky. And his name is Sean Bean.
Oh, of course, she loves Sean Bean.
She does love Sean Bean.
And that concludes our quiz. I think I won.
I think you find you didn't. I think you've really messed up on Sean Bean.
I think
and we could have got like blitz and our way through that, but you had to make me wait for Sean Bean.
So now, as it's Christmas, we thought we'd talk about our favourite Christmas moments from sitcom Christmas specials. So give me yours then, number 3.
My number 3 is Dawn French, the Christmas lunch incident. And it's the bit where she takes the Brussels sprout, even though she's so full, and she's trying to prove a point to David.
Mm-hmm.
She takes a Brussels sprout, she puts the fork in the mouth, and she physically has to put her lips around the fork
Yeah.
so she can eat it. And I just love that moment. Okay, what's your third moment?
Well, I can't put
Or
them in
one of your
order.
third
I
moment?
give you one of my. I give you one of my three. Okay, it's Gavin and Stacey.
All right, Gav. All right, Stace.
Gavelon. All right,
Oh,
Gavelon.
what's occurring? Go on.
So this is from the Christmas special.
Can we point out the way that she loves Gavin and Stacey as well? It's one of the only sitcoms or comedy programs set in Wales. And not only set in
Exactly.
Wales, it's set in somewhere we know, Barry Island.
Yeah, and written, well, co-written by a fantastic Welsh actress, writer,
Yeah, Ruth Jones.
Ruth Jones.
And it's also written by James Corden,
Yes.
who's also a fantastic actor
Yeah,
and writer.
he is. He is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So this is from the Gavin and Stacey Christmas special, 2008, which
Yeah.
is the final episode of series 2, setting up for 3. It was shown on Christmas Eve. It gets an 8.6 on IMDb. I think
Whoa.
it deserves higher.
Yeah.
Lots of lovely moments. It's
Mm-hmm.
got everything. A little bit of story, happiness, not a perfect ending,
No.
but it leads on nicely to the next series. So loads of great moments.
Yeah.
However, it's the scene at Lee Delamere Services, filmed at Cardiff West Services.
Yeah.
Nessa, oh, Gwen, how's the baby? And then Gwen says, oh, he's fine, love. He's enjoying the massage, he is. Dave, you let us know when you want to get along. Camera pans to Dave. He's in the arcade on a car racing game. Cheers, Gwen. I just needed a break from the driving, you know. Mi chiamo.
That is good.
So funny. Brilliant. Okay, your next
Okay,
moment.
my next moment is from something we've talked about a bit, Only Fools and Horses. We've actually mentioned it, and it's the final few moments of the very far last episode, They Thought. And it's when they've become millionaires. And they're walking down the street, Del Boy, Rodney, and Uncle Albert. And it's quite a long stretch of road, and there's a fence in the distance. They've gone to a restaurant. They've gone to Mandela House for the last time, they think, just to say goodbye to the old flat. And they're walking down the road, and then in the background it also suddenly changes orange, and there's a massive sunset, and it looks like they're going towards the sunset. And I thought that was a really lovely touch, a really lovely way to end it.
It's a perfect ending. And
It
then they
is.
brought it back 5 years later.
It's a really tough one because I understand why they brought it back. People wanted more. They obviously, the writer wanted to write it again, John Sullivan.
Yeah, I suppose if he's got an idea and it's good.
Yeah. It's a tough one, isn't it? So, as we're not doing them in order, to Del Boy, Rodney, and Uncle Albert going into the sunset.
Cool. My next moment comes from something we've already talked about, Vicar of Dibley.
Yeah.
Christmas special, 2007, aired on Boxing Day. It's called Engagement. It gets an IMDb rating of 8.3. Hugo and Alice finally got together, 4.5-hour kissing session. Hugo also stands up to his father, threatened to cut him out of his life, cut him out of the will, if he continues his relationship with Alice.
Yes, he has, yeah.
He did that in front of Geraldine, who was really happy, and he'd said he'd have all he's ever wanted with Alice. And you might think, that's the perfect moment. But for me, it came a little bit later when Hugo asks Alice to sit down and gets on his knees and begins the proposal and starts it off in the most unexpected way.
He goes on a knee and he says,
in the words of Sigourney Weaver in film Aliens, I just want to say, and Alice interrupts,
yeah,
get away from here, you beep.
yeah.
female dog. And then he says, no, the idiot of a little girl. Oh, you stay in the ventilation shaft. I'll check the corridor. And then Hugh was, just let me finish. Oh, sorry. And then he says, I will never leave you. That's a promise. But I just love it, the way she just cut straight in. Stay away from her, you dick.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
is.
totally unexpected. And it's
Yeah.
just so funny. And then it gets even, you've got that funny bit, and then it switches right back because when she answers, she says no. And then says, oh, and she says, no, let me finish. No question I've ever been asked has been easier to answer, apart perhaps from when my mum asked me which of the Teletubbies I most, because the answer was Tinky Winky. Absolutely, just like that. Perfect writing.
It is perfect writing.
Totally unexpected.
Okay, I guess I talked my moment now. Can you guess what it is?
A bit from The Office.
It is from The Office.
The very final Office.
The very final Office. The Christmas special. It was second of the Christmas specials.
Aired on December 27th, 2003, with an IMDb rating of 9.3 by any chance.
It is indeed. You've done your homework. I wonder how. So there's an office party. David's been told he can't just pop in the office. I'm watching it thinking, no, there's no reason for him to be in that office. Bear in mind, he sued the company because they made him redundant. They shouldn't have made him redundant. I agree with that, and that's why they paid him off. But he spent all the money recording a single, if you don't know me by now. But anyway, that's not part of that episode. So it's the Christmas party. All the gang are there. And David Brent's been on a date. He's been on a dating website. And he's had a few bad dates, but this one, they've just clicked. And she's very nice. And he says goodbye to her and he comes in. So he sees Neil, the manager, and Chris Finch talking. Brent interrupts. He starts talking about football, and Chris Finch is rude. He says, you don't know nothing about football. And that's doing it word for word. This is all paraphrasing. And somebody says, where's the dog? Because he was bringing his dog into the office. And Chris Finch says, didn't you see? She just left. And they both laughed. And Brent looks at him and says the words he should have said all along. Why don't you
Just
F
off.
off? And just walks away from them. But we think that's a great moment. Remember, we got Yazoo playing in the background, Only You. And then Brent is talking to Gareth and Tim. And all of a sudden, Dawn's come back. And nobody really sees her. And she walks all the way over to Tim. And she just kisses him. Now, you know I'm not a romantic. I separate real life and fiction quite well. But the relationship with Tim and Dawn has been built up over 3 years. We really want them to get together. They are perfect for each other, even though in the real world, there are no perfect for each other. In story world, there's a lot of perfect for each other. And that moment was just perfect. It was absolutely perfect. They didn't speak. And then Gareth says, she's got a fiance. And Dawn says, not now, I haven't. Tim and Dawn don't say a word to each other. And then they just walk off. And yeah, it's beautiful. I would actually say that would be my top moment. Except there, changed my mind with the sunset with Fools and Horses, but that one's my top moment. What was yours? What's your last one, Mand?
Funnily enough, I'll show you the piece of paper, and it's from The Office.
Yeah.
Final episode. It's got a few moments and a great ending.
Yeah.
This is
But
what I've
it's the
written.
Finch, isn't it?
That David finally stood up to Chris.
This Finch,
Yeah.
yeah.
And where to go, and the never give up.
Oh yeah, the never give
Tip
up.
had written down on
That's
the
what made
sketch that
her.
Dawn had done, which made her come back and get together. But I love that. But the next bit was also perfect when they did the photo. And it was the old gang, and they did this talking heads with David. and said, how do you want to be remembered? And he said about he wants to make a difference and be remembered as the man who put a smile on the faces of everyone he met. And then they did the photo of the old gang, and he does the whole Frank Spencer, and they all laugh.
Yeah.
And for him, that's all he wanted.
Yeah, he just wanted recognition, didn't he?
And I thought that whole episode, those moments,
Yeah.
telling off Chris Finch, the never give up, getting together, and that just tied it up beautifully. And that was my moment.
Yeah.
Same as you.
So there we go.
And we were worried
think-
we'd have 3 the same. All that remains to be said is thank you for joining us. Remember, we get a lot of stuff from the internet, and did you know?
The internet can lie.
You can contact us.
On Instagram, TV Comedy Pod.
Our website is thattvcomedypodcast.com.
And you can email us on thattvcomedypodcast@outlook.com.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Boo.
Boo.
That TV Comedy Podcast was presented by Amanda Davies and Jacquie J. Sarah. It is a deliciously bright podcast, produced by Jacquie J. Sarah.